The February morning air in Nashville carried a bitter chill that seemed to seep through the thin walls of the Bennett household. Tyler Bennett sat at the edge of his unmade bed, his 14-year-old frame hunched over an old acoustic guitar that had belonged to his grandfather. The instrument was scratched and worn, one of the tuning pegs slightly bent, but it was the only thing in his life that felt truly his. Outside his bedroom window, the sun was just beginning to rise over the modest neighborhood of Antioch, a working-class suburb on the southeastern edge of Nashville. The houses here were small, most with peeling paint and overgrown lawns. This wasn't the Nashville of tourist postcards and honky-tonks on Broadway. This was the Nashville where people worked 2 jobs to make rent, where dreams felt like luxuries nobody could afford. Tyler strummed a chord, wincing at how out of tune the guitar sounded. He didn't have money for new strings, and asking his father was pointless. Daniel Bennett barely noticed Tyler existed most days, let alone cared about his musical interests. "Tyler, get down here!" His father's voice boomed from downstairs, harsh and impatient. Tyler set the guitar down carefully and made his way downstairs. The kitchen was cluttered with unwashed dishes from the past several days. His father stood by the coffee maker, already dressed in his navy blue factory uniform, his face weathered beyond his 42 years. Dark circles hung beneath his eyes, permanent fixtures that spoke of exhaustion that went deeper than physical tiredness. "I'm working a double shift today," Daniel said without looking at his son. "Won't be home until midnight. There's $20 on the counter. Make it last for dinner tonight and tomorrow." "Okay," Tyler said quietly. Daniel grabbed his thermos and truck keys. For a moment, he paused, and Tyler felt a flicker of hope that his father might say something more, might ask how he was doing, might notice the algebra test Tyler had aced last week that still sat on the refrigerator under a magnet. But Daniel just cleared his throat and walked out, the front door slamming behind him with a finality that echoed through the empty house. Tyler stood alone in the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound. He picked up the $20 bill and folded it into his pocket. This was normal. This was every day. He had learned not to expect more. At Antioch High School, Tyler moved through the hallways like a ghost. He wasn't bullied exactly. That would require people to notice him enough to target him. He was simply there. Background noise in the cacophony of teenage social hierarchies. He sat in the back of his English class, taught by Mrs. Jennifer Caldwell, a woman in her late 50s who wore colorful scarves and actually seemed to care about teaching. She was reading aloud from The Outsiders, and Tyler found himself drawn into the story despite his usual detachment. The characters felt real to him. Kids who didn't quite fit, who were searching for something more. "Tyler," Mrs. Caldwell said, and he startled. "What do you think Pony Boy means when he talks about feeling disconnected from his brothers?" All eyes turned to him. Tyler felt his face flush. I think he feels like they don't really see him. Like he's there, but not really there. Like he could disappear and it would take them a while to notice." Mrs. Caldwell's expression softened. "That's a very insightful answer, Tyler. Thank you." The attention faded as quickly as it had come, and Tyler sank back into his usual invisibility. But Mrs. Caldwell's eyes lingered on him for a moment longer, a crease of concern forming between her brows. Lunch was the worst part of Tyler's day. The cafeteria was a minefield of social dynamics he had never learned to navigate. He bought a slice of pizza with some of his precious $20 and sat at the far end of a table occupied by other solitary students, each absorbed in their phones or books, careful not to make eye contact that might lead to actual conversation. Tyler pulled out his own phone, an old model, cracked screen but functional, and opened YouTube. He scrolled through his saved videos, all of them Alan Jackson performances. Chattahoochee, Remember When, Drive, Where Were You, When the World Stopped Turning. Songs that spoke of simpler times, of family, of moments that mattered. His grandfather, Robert Bennett, had introduced Tyler to Alan Jackson's music when Tyler was just 8 years old. Robert had lived with them back then, before the cancer took him. Those had been better days. Robert would sit on the porch with young Tyler, teaching him guitar chords while Alan Jackson's voice drifted from an old radio. "You know what makes a great country song, Ty?" Robert had asked, his weathered hands guiding Tyler's small fingers to the right fret positions. "It's honest. It tells the truth about life, the good, the bad, the complicated." Alan Jackson, he's one of the honest ones. Never forgot where he came from. Never pretended to be something he wasn't. Tyler remembered nodding, not fully understanding then, but feeling the truth in his grandfather's words. Now, 6 years after Robert's death, those memories were precious fragments Tyler clung to. The guitar, the music, the feeling that someone had once truly seen him. These were his lifelines. After school, Tyler walked home instead of taking the bus, pocketing the bus money to save it. The walk was long, nearly an hour, but he didn't mind. It gave him time to think, to dream, to imagine a different life. He passed through downtown Nashville, where tourists crowded the streets, visiting the Country Music Hall of Fame and the honky-tonks that promised authentic Nashville experiences. Tyler always felt like an outsider looking in at these scenes. This was his city, but it wasn't his world. These people came to Nashville chasing country music dreams or vacation memories, while Tyler lived here invisible, his own dreams feeling impossibly distant. As he walked past the Bridgestone Arena, he noticed a crowd gathered near a poster board. Curious, Tyler moved closer. The poster announced an upcoming charity event, Country Stars for Youth, a benefit concert featuring Alan Jackson, supporting Nashville's at-risk youth programs. Tyler's heart began to pound. Alan Jackson, here in 2 weeks. He pulled out his phone and searched for more information. The event was being held at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Tickets were expensive, $150 for general admission, but there would also be a free community gathering outside with food trucks, local musicians, and opportunities to meet volunteers from various youth programs. Alan Jackson was scheduled to make an appearance outside before the concert. Tyler read and reread the information, his mind racing. This was it. This was a chance, however small, to be in the same space as the man whose music had been his companion through the loneliest years of his life. Maybe, just maybe, he could find a way to say something, to be noticed, even for a moment. The walk home felt different now. Tyler's steps were lighter, purposeful. For the first time in months, he felt something other than numb resignation. He felt hope. When he arrived home, the empty house no longer felt quite as suffocating. Tyler went straight to his room and picked up his grandfather's guitar. He began to play Remember When, one of Alan Jackson's most poignant songs about the passage of time and enduring love. His fingers found the chords more easily than usual. Muscle memory guided by emotion. Tyler's voice, still carrying traces of adolescent uncertainty, joined the melody. Remember when I was young and so were you, and time stood still and love was all we knew. He sang to the empty room, to the ghost of his grandfather, to the father who was never home, to the classmates who never saw him. He sang because it was the only time he felt real, the only time his existence seemed to matter, even if only to himself. That night, Daniel came home just after midnight, as promised. Tyler heard the truck pull into the driveway, heard his father's heavy footsteps on the stairs, heard the bedroom door close. No good night, No checking to see if Tyler was okay. Just the routine of two people living parallel lives under the same roof. Tyler lay in bed, his mind filled with possibilities. 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks to figure out how to make the most of this opportunity. He didn't have a concrete plan yet, but he had something more important. A reason to keep going. A light in the distance worth moving toward. As he drifted off to sleep, Tyler whispered to the darkness, "Just wait. I'm going to make you see me." The next morning, Tyler woke with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. Before school, he researched everything he could find about the upcoming charity event. The Country Stars for Youth benefit was organized by the Nashville Youth Services Coalition, a group that provided resources for teenagers facing homelessness, family instability, and educational challenges. Kids, Tyler realized, not unlike himself. At school, Tyler approached the day differently. Instead of drifting through classes in his usual fog, he paid attention, participated when called upon, and even raised his hand during history class to answer a question about the Great Depression. His teacher, Mr. Harold Patterson, looked genuinely surprised but pleased. "Good to hear from you, Tyler," Mr. Patterson said, and Tyler felt a small surge of validation. During lunch, as Tyler sat in his usual spot watching Alan Jackson videos, a voice interrupted him. "You really into country music?" Tyler looked up to find Jamie Rodriguez standing across from him, holding a lunch tray. Jamie was a sophomore like Tyler, though they'd never spoken before. He had a friendly face and wore a worn Titans football jersey. "Yeah," Tyler said cautiously. "Especially Alan Jackson." "My dad loves that stuff," Jamie said, sitting down without waiting for an invitation. "Me, I'm more into hip-hop, but I respect it. My dad always says country music tells stories, you know? Like each song is a movie?" Tyler nodded, surprised to find himself in an actual conversation. That's exactly it. Alan Jackson especially. His songs are about real life, real people." Jamie smiled. "You going to that benefit thing? The Country Stars event?" "I want to," Tyler admitted. "Can't afford a ticket, but I'm going to the free community part outside. Alan Jackson is supposed to be there." "That's cool, man." "Hey, you play any instruments? I saw you have a guitar case sometimes." "I play a little," Tyler said modestly, though his heart was racing. Someone had noticed. Someone had actually noticed him enough to remember seeing him with his grandfather's guitar. They talked for the rest of lunch period. It wasn't a deep conversation, but it was real. Jamie told Tyler about his family. His father worked in construction, his mother was a nurse, and he had 3 younger siblings. Their life sounded chaotic but warm, full of noise and presence that Tyler couldn't quite imagine. When the bell rang, Jamie stood up. "Hey, maybe I'll see you at that event. Good luck meeting Alan Jackson." "Thanks," Tyler said, and he meant it. That small interaction fueled Tyler for the rest of the day. It proved something important. He wasn't inherently invisible. People could see him if he let them, if he opened up even a little. The realization was both exciting and terrifying. After school, Tyler didn't walk straight home. Instead, he made a detour to the Nashville Public Library on Church Street. The building was beautiful, modern, and welcoming, with tall windows that let in streams of afternoon light. Tyler had been here before for school projects, but never for personal reasons. He found a computer station and began researching in earnest. He learned that Alan Jackson had grown up in a small town in Georgia, in a house built around a rented mobile home. He learned about Jackson's commitment to traditional country music, his resistance to trends, his reputation for being genuine and down-to-earth. He learned about Jackson's family, his long marriage, his daughters. Tyler also researched the Youth Services Coalition. The organization had been founded 10 years ago by a woman named Patricia Henderson, a former social worker who had seen too many teenagers fall through the cracks of the system. The coalition provided counseling, tutoring, job training, and emergency housing assistance. Reading through testimonials from teens who had been helped, Tyler felt a kindling recognition. These were his people, even if he'd never met them. An idea began to form in Tyler's mind. What if he volunteered at the event? Volunteers would have access to areas that regular attendees wouldn't. They'd be part of the organization, visible in a way that mattered. It was a long shot, but it was something. Tyler found the contact information for the coalition and drafted an email on the library computer. He wrote and rewrote it a dozen times, trying to strike the right tone. Enthusiastic, but not desperate. Helpful, but not needy. Dear Nashville Youth Services Coalition, my name is Tyler Bennett, and I'm a sophomore at Antioch High School. I'm writing to ask if you need any volunteers for the Country Stars for Youth Benefit event on February 23rd. I'm very passionate about music and about helping other young people in our community. I'm reliable, hardworking, and would be honored to contribute to this important cause in any way needed. Thank you for considering my request. Sincerely, Tyler Bennett. He included his email address and phone number, then hit send before he could second-guess himself. It was done. Now all he could do was wait. The next few days crawled by with agonizing slowness. Tyler checked his email obsessively, hope rising and falling with each empty inbox. He continued going to school, continued the small interactions with Jamie at lunch, continued practicing guitar in his room while his father worked endless hours at the factory. On Thursday evening, 4 days after sending his email, Tyler's phone buzzed with a notification. His hands shook as he opened the email. Dear Tyler, thank you so much for reaching out. We would love to have you volunteer at the Country Stars for Youth event. We're always grateful for dedicated young people willing to give their time. Please come to our office at 415 Broadway Street this Saturday at 10 a.m. for a brief orientation. Wear comfortable clothes and bring your enthusiasm. Looking forward to meeting you. Patricia Henderson, Director, Nashville Youth Services Coalition. Tyler read the email 3 times, making sure it was real. A laugh bubbled up from his chest, surprising him. When was the last time he'd laughed from genuine joy? He couldn't remember. Saturday arrived shrouded in cold rain, the kind of persistent drizzle that made Nashville's streets shine like polished stone. Tyler put on his best jeans, only one small hole in the knee, and a clean hoodie. He left the house early, not bothering to tell his father where he was going. Daniel was asleep anyway, exhausted from another double shift. The Youth Services Coalition office was located above a souvenir shop on Broadway, accessed by a narrow staircase. Tyler climbed the stairs, his heart pounding with each step. At the top, a door bore a simple sign, NYSC, Every Young Person Matters. Tyler knocked and entered. The office was small but welcoming, with walls covered in photos of smiling teenagers, thank you cards, and inspirational quotes. A woman in her mid-50s with short gray hair and kind eyes looked up from a desk cluttered with papers. You must be Tyler, she said, standing and extending her hand. I'm Patricia Henderson. So glad you're here. Tyler shook her hand, noting how firm and genuine her grip was. Thank you for letting me volunteer. Over the next hour, Patricia explained the event logistics to Tyler and 3 other young volunteers. 2 girls named Emily Chen and Danielle Wilson, and another boy named Christopher Hayes. They would help set up booths, distribute information packets, assist attendees, and generally make sure the outdoor community gathering ran smoothly. This event matters because you all matter, Patricia said, her voice filled with conviction. Every teenager deserves support, opportunities, and someone who believes in them. Many of you are here because you understand that need personally. That makes you powerful advocates. Tyler felt seen in a way he couldn't quite articulate. Patricia wasn't just looking at him. She was seeing him, recognizing something essential about who he was. Before they left, Patricia pulled Tyler aside. "Tyler, can I ask, are things okay at home?" The question caught him off guard. For a moment, he considered lying, maintaining the facade that everything was fine. But something in Patricia's expression made him tell the truth. "Not really," he said quietly, "but I'm managing." Patricia nodded slowly. "If you ever need resources, if things get worse, we're here. That's what we do. Promise me you'll remember that." "I promise," Tyler said, and he meant it. The following week passed in a blur of anticipation. Tyler attended school, volunteered at the coalition office twice more to help with event preparations, and practiced what he might say to Alan Jackson if he got the chance. Every scenario he imagined felt wrong. Too eager, too pathetic, too much. Jamie had become a regular lunch companion, and Tyler found himself opening up in small ways. He told Jamie about his grandfather, about learning guitar, about how music was the only thing that made sense sometimes. "You should play for people," Jamie suggested. "Like actually perform." Tyler shook his head. "Nobody wants to hear me." "You don't know that until you try," Jamie countered. "My dad always says the biggest risk is not taking any risks." On the Tuesday before the event, Tyler's English teacher, Mrs. Caldwell, asked him to stay after class. "Tyler, I've noticed a change in you these past couple weeks," she said gently. "You seem more present, more engaged. I wanted to tell you that I see it, and I'm proud of whatever work you're doing on yourself." Tyler felt his throat tighten with unexpected emotion. "Thank you, Mrs. Caldwell. That means a lot. You have a good heart and a sharp mind," she continued. "Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise. Whatever you're reaching for, keep reaching." That night, Tyler sat on his bed with his grandfather's guitar and played through his entire repertoire of Alan Jackson songs. His fingers moved with confidence now, the chords clear and true. He had replaced the strings using money saved from skipped lunches, and the guitar sounded better than it had in years. Daniel knocked on the door, a rare occurrence, and opened it slightly. "You're getting pretty good at that," he said, his voice gruff but not unkind. Tyler looked up, surprised. "Thanks, Dad." For a moment, Daniel lingered in the doorway, and Tyler saw something in his father's expression he hadn't seen before. Regret, maybe, or recognition of all the distance between them. "Your grandfather would be proud," Daniel said finally. Then he closed the door and was gone. Tyler sat in silence, processing the moment. It wasn't reconciliation, wasn't the dramatic breakthrough that happened in movies, but it was something. It was acknowledgement. It was a tiny bridge across a vast chasm. Friday night, the eve of the event, Tyler couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, playing through scenarios. What if he froze? What if Alan Jackson was surrounded by security and handlers? What if he got his one chance and couldn't find the right words? But beneath the anxiety was something stronger: determination. Tyler had spent 14 years being invisible, being background noise in his own life. Tomorrow was his chance to change that, to assert his existence, to be seen. He thought about all the people who had noticed him in the past 2 weeks: Jamie, Patricia, Mrs. Caldwell, even his father in that brief moment. He thought about the other volunteers, kids who understood struggle and survival. He thought about his grandfather's lessons about honesty in music, about being true to yourself. "I exist," Tyler whispered to the darkness. "I matter. Tomorrow, I'm going to make someone see that." The words felt like both a prayer and a promise. And as Tyler finally drifted toward sleep, his grandfather's guitar leaned against the wall, waiting for a day that would change everything. The morning of February 23rd dawned clear and cold, the kind of crisp winter day where the sky stretched endlessly blue, and every breath came out in visible puffs. Tyler was awake before sunrise, too nervous and excited to sleep. He showered, dressed carefully in his cleanest clothes, and for the first time in months, actually looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a 14-year-old kid with shaggy brown hair that needed cutting, his mother's green eyes, the only thing she'd left him, and a face that still held traces of childhood but was beginning to show hints of the man he might become. He looked tired, older than his years, but today there was something else in his expression. Hope. Tyler made himself breakfast, scrambled eggs and toast, and left a note for his father. Volunteering at an event downtown today. Be home tonight. Tyler. It was more communication than they'd shared in weeks. He arrived at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium at 9 a.m., 2 hours before the community gathering was scheduled to begin. The venue sat on 4th Avenue, a historic building that had hosted everyone from Elvis Presley to Johnny Cash. Today, it would host Alan Jackson and, Tyler hoped, a moment that would change his life. The outdoor plaza area was already bustling with activity. Food trucks were positioning themselves along the perimeter, their vendors calling out to each other good-naturedly. Volunteers from the Youth Services Coalition were setting up information booths, hanging banners, arranging chairs. The air smelled of coffee, frying bacon, and possibility. Patricia Henderson spotted Tyler immediately and waved him over. She wore a bright red NYSC staff jacket and had a clipboard that seemed to contain the entire universe of event logistics. "Tyler, perfect timing. I need you and Christopher to help set up the main stage area where Alan will speak. Emily and Danielle will handle the registration tables." Christopher Hayes was 17, tall and lean with dreadlocks and a quiet confidence. He nodded at Tyler as they grabbed equipment cases and began following Patricia's detailed instructions. They worked in comfortable silence, setting up microphone stands, arranging monitors, testing sound levels with the help of a harried audio engineer named Kevin. As they worked, Tyler kept glancing toward the backstage entrance, a nondescript door with security guards posted outside. That's where Alan Jackson would enter. That's where the possibility lived. "You look like you're planning a bank heist," Christopher said with a slight smile. Tyler laughed nervously. "Is it that obvious? You want to meet him, right? Alan Jackson?" Christopher's tone was understanding, not mocking. "Yeah," Tyler admitted. "His music. It got me through some really hard times. I just want to tell him that. Let him know his songs mattered." Christopher nodded thoughtfully. "Nothing wrong with that. Artists need to hear that their work makes a difference. Just be yourself, man. Authenticity is what country music is all about, right?" By 11 a.m., the plaza was filling with people. Families arrived with children. Teenagers came in groups. Elderly couples walked hand in hand. The event truly was free and open to the community. And Nashville had shown up. Local musicians played on a smaller stage, filling the air with bluegrass and traditional country. The food trucks did brisk business. Volunteers distributed information about the coalition's programs. Tyler was assigned to help at the welcome table, greeting attendees and handing out programs. He smiled at strangers, answered questions, felt himself becoming part of something larger than his own small world. A woman with 2 young children thanked him for volunteering. A teenage girl who had been helped by the coalition gave him a hug, saying, "People like you kept me going." Each interaction added another layer to Tyler's sense of purpose. He wasn't just here for himself anymore. He was part of a community of people who understood struggle. who chose to show up despite difficulty, who refused to let hardship define them. At 1:30 p.m., a ripple of excitement moved through the crowd. Tyler felt it before he understood it. A shift in energy, a collective intake of breath. Then he saw him. Alan Jackson emerged from the backstage entrance, flanked by 2 security personnel, but walking with an ease that suggested he wasn't bothered by the attention. He wore his signature look, crisp white shirt, dark jeans, cowboy boots, and a black cowboy hat. At 67 years old, his face showed age, but also authenticity, the wear of a life fully lived. Tyler's heart hammered so hard he thought everyone around him must hear it. This was real. Alan Jackson was here, 50 feet away, shaking hands with Patricia Henderson, nodding at something she said, laughing at a comment from one of the other organizers. "Tyler, can you help direct people to form a line?" Emily asked, touching his shoulder. "They're going to do a meet and greet before his speech." Tyler snapped into action, helping to organize the growing crowd into a somewhat orderly queue. Alan Jackson would greet people, take photos, sign autographs. It was happening. Tyler would get his moment. But as the line grew longer and longer, Tyler's hope began to waver. There were easily 200 people waiting, and Alan Jackson's speech was scheduled for 2:30. The math didn't work. There wasn't enough time. Tyler watched as Alan patiently greeted each person, genuinely engaging with everyone, laughing with children, listening seriously to teenagers, embracing elderly fans with tears in their eyes. He wasn't rushing, wasn't going through the motions. Each person got their moment, got seen. The problem was, that meant others wouldn't get their turn at all. At 2:15, Patricia made an announcement. "Folks, I'm so sorry, but we need to wrap up the meet and greet in about 5 minutes so Mr. Jackson can prepare for his speech. If you're toward the back of the line, we'll try to arrange something after the event." Tyler was nowhere near the front. He felt the opportunity slipping away, that familiar sense of being on the outside looking in. Other volunteers had duties, positions that put them closer to the stage. Tyler was just crowd control now, watching his dream evaporate. As the meet and greet ended and people were ushered toward the seating area for the speech, Tyler helped fold up the welcome table. His hands moved automatically, but his mind was racing. He couldn't give up, not when he was this close. The plaza had been arranged with rows of chairs facing the main stage, but many people stood along the sides and back. Alan Jackson took the stage to enthusiastic applause. Tyler positioned himself near the side of the stage, as close as the security perimeter would allow. Alan's voice came through the speakers, warm and unmistakable. "Thank you all for being here today. You know, I've been making music for over 30 years now, and people often ask me why I still do it. The answer is simple: connection. Music connects us. It tells our stories, our struggles, our joy. And events like this remind me why that matters." He spoke about growing up poor, about the people who had helped him along the way, about responsibility to give back. Tyler hung on every word. But more than that, he studied the man speaking them. Alan Jackson was real. There was no performance in this, no calculated country star persona. This was just a man who remembered where he came from and chose not to forget. These young people here, the ones this coalition serves, they're not statistics or problems to be solved, Alan continued. They're human beings with dreams and talents and worth. Sometimes they just need someone to notice them, to believe in them, to give them a chance. That's what today is about. The words hit Tyler like lightning. To be noticed, to be seen. That was all he wanted, all he'd ever wanted. Alan's speech ended with a song. He had brought his guitar, and he performed "Remember When" acoustic, his voice filling the plaza with bittersweet nostalgia. Tyler found himself singing along quietly, his grandfather's voice echoing in his memory. When the song ended and the applause faded, Patricia returned to the stage to thank Alan and announce the benefit concert would begin inside the auditorium in 30 minutes for ticket holders. The outdoor community gathering would continue with local musicians and activities. This was it. Alan Jackson would leave the stage, go back through that security-guarded door, and Tyler's chance would be gone. But Tyler couldn't accept that. Not after everything. Not after 2 weeks of hope and planning and daring to believe his existence might matter to someone beyond himself. As the crowd began to disperse and reorganize, Tyler moved with purpose. He walked along the edge of the security perimeter, looking for any opening, any possibility. The guards were professional but not hostile. They were there to maintain order, not to crush dreams. Tyler spotted Christopher near the backstage area, helping to move equipment. He caught his eye, and Christopher seemed to understand. He gave Tyler a slight nod toward an equipment entrance, a gap in the perimeter where crew members were passing through. Tyler didn't overthink it. He grabbed a folded chair — volunteers were supposed to be moving equipment anyway — and walked toward the gap with confidence, as if he belonged exactly where he was going. "Hold on, kid," a security guard said, but not aggressively. "Where are you headed?" "I'm with the Coalition Volunteers," Tyler said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Patricia asked me to return this backstage." The guard glanced at Tyler's volunteer badge, looked at the chair, shrugged. "Make it quick." Tyler's heart was pounding so hard he felt dizzy. But he walked through the entrance, through a short corridor, and suddenly found himself in a backstage area. Crew members bustled around, moving instruments and equipment for the evening concert. A catering table held coffee and snacks. And there, 30 feet away, Alan Jackson stood talking to Patricia and 2 other event organizers. Tyler froze. What was he doing? He couldn't just walk up to Alan Jackson. This was crazy. This was... "Can I help you with something?" A woman in her 30s, clearly part of Alan's team, approached Tyler with professional courtesy but obvious gatekeeping intent. I'm a volunteer," Tyler stammered, still holding the ridiculous chair. "That's great, but this area is restricted. You'll need to..." "Wait," Tyler said, finding his voice. "Please, I just need 30 seconds. Less than that. I just need to say something." The woman's expression softened slightly, but remained firm. "Mr. Jackson has a concert to prepare for. I'm sure you understand." Tyler felt everything crashing down. He'd come so far, been so close, and now it was ending exactly as he should have known it would. People like him didn't get these moments. People like him stayed invisible. But then he thought about his grandfather, about Mrs. Caldwell, about Patricia telling him he mattered, about Christopher giving him a chance, about all the small acts of being seen that had led him to this moment. "I understand," Tyler said quietly, looking directly at the woman. "But I need you to understand something too. I'm 14 years old. My mom left when I was 8. My dad works so much I barely know him. I don't have friends, or at least I didn't until recently. I feel invisible every single day of my life. Alan Jackson's music, your boss's music, is the only thing that makes me feel real sometimes. The only thing that reminds me I exist, that my feelings matter, that I'm not crazy for wanting more than this." Tyler's voice cracked, but he continued. "I'm not asking for a photo or an autograph. I don't want to take anything from him. I just want to give him something. The truth that his work saved someone. That seems important. That seems like something he should know." The woman stared at Tyler for a long moment, her professional armor visibly cracking. "What's your name?" "Tyler. Tyler Bennett." "Stay right here, Tyler Bennett." She walked over to Alan Jackson and spoke quietly to him, gesturing back toward Tyler. Alan looked over, his eyes finding Tyler's. He said something to Patricia, nodded to the other organizers, and then started walking toward Tyler. Time seemed to slow down. Tyler was aware of every detail. The sound of his own breathing, the distant music from the plaza, the fluorescent backstage lighting, the weight of the chair still in his hands. And then Alan Jackson was standing right in front of him, tall and real and present. "I hear you wanted to tell me something," Alan said, his voice kind. This was it. The moment Tyler had imagined 1,000 different ways. All his prepared speeches evaporated. There was only truth. Tyler started, then stopped. He set down the chair. He looked up at Alan Jackson and said the only words that mattered. "I just wanted to remind you that I exist." The simple statement hung in the air between them, carrying all the weight of Tyler's loneliness, his struggle, his desperate need to matter. Alan Jackson's expression shifted, something profound crossing his features. Recognition, understanding, pain, and compassion all at once. "Son," Alan said quietly, "tell me your story." Alan Jackson's invitation, "Tell me your story," wasn't casual. It wasn't a polite brush-off disguised as interest. Tyler could see it in the man's eyes, in the way he shifted his full attention to Tyler, as if nothing else in the world mattered in that moment. Tyler opened his mouth and nothing came out. After wanting so desperately to be heard, he suddenly didn't know how to speak. But Alan didn't rush him, didn't glance at his watch or show impatience. He just waited. "I'm Tyler Bennett," Tyler finally began. "I'm 14. I live in Antioch with my dad, but he's never really there. My mom left 6 years ago. I don't remember much about her except that she used to sing while she cooked. And then one day she just wasn't there anymore." Alan nodded slowly, encouraging him to continue without words. "My grandfather lived with us for a while. He taught me guitar. He introduced me to your music." Tyler's voice grew steadier as he spoke about Robert. "He died when I was 8, and I thought I'd lose the music too. But your songs kept playing in my head. Chattahoochee, Drive, Remember When. They became like proof that good things exist, even when everything else is falling apart." "Your grandfather sounds like he was a special man," Alan said. "He was the only person who ever really saw me," Tyler said, the words tumbling out now. "After he died, I became invisible. At school, I'm just the quiet kid nobody notices. At home, my dad is so buried in work and exhaustion that I think he forgets I exist sometimes. I'm not blaming him. I know he's doing his best. But it's lonely. It's so lonely that some days I feel like I might disappear completely, and nobody would even realize." Tyler paused, suddenly aware that Patricia and several others were watching this exchange. He felt embarrassed, exposed, but Alan's steady presence kept him grounded. "Your music reminds me that I'm real," Tyler continued, "that what I'm feeling is valid. When you sing about small towns and struggling families and complicated relationships, I feel less alone. So I needed you to know that you matter to me, that your songs saved me on days when I wasn't sure I could keep going." The silence that followed felt enormous. Tyler realized he'd said far more than he'd intended, had revealed pieces of himself he usually kept hidden. He braced for the polite thank you, the kind dismissal, the return to invisibility. Instead, Alan Jackson reached out and placed a hand on Tyler's shoulder. "Tyler, I want you to listen to me very carefully," Alan said, his voice firm but gentle. "You are not invisible. You are standing right here in front of me, and I see you. More than that, I hear you. And what you just told me, that matters. That matters more than you know." Tyler felt tears prickling at his eyes and tried to blink them away. "I've been making music for 35 years, Alan continued. "I've sold millions of records, won awards, played for presidents. But you know what means the most? Moments like this. Knowing that something I created connected with someone real, helped them through real struggles. That's why any of this matters. Alan glanced over at Patricia, then back at Tyler. How long have you been playing guitar? Since I was 8. 6 years. You any good? Tyler hesitated. I'm okay. I play for myself, mostly. Nobody else really hears me. That's about to change, Alan said decisively. He turned to his assistant, the woman who had initially stopped Tyler. Diane, what's our schedule look like? Diane checked her tablet. You're on stage in 25 minutes. Meet and greet with VIP ticket holders afterward. Then the full concert at 7. Clear 15 minutes for me before VIP, Alan said. And find me whoever's in charge of the volunteer program. That's me, Patricia said, stepping forward. Patricia Henderson, Coalition Director. Alan shook her hand. Ms. Henderson, this young man here is Tyler Bennett. He's one of your volunteers, and from what he just told me, he's exactly the kind of person your coalition exists to support. I'd like to do something about that. Patricia looked at Tyler with surprise and growing understanding. We'd be grateful for whatever support you can offer. Tyler, Alan said, turning back to him, I want you to watch tonight's concert from backstage. Diane will make sure you have access. After the show, you and I are going to talk more. Really talk. About your music, your situation, and what comes next. That work for you? Tyler couldn't speak. He nodded, a single tear escaping down his cheek, despite his efforts to contain it. And bring your grandfather's guitar if you can, Alan added. I want to hear you play. The next few hours passed in a surreal haze. Diane gave Tyler a special backstage pass and made arrangements for him to watch the concert from the wings. Patricia pulled him aside, her eyes bright with emotion. Tyler, whatever happens tonight, this is your moment, she said. You advocated for yourself. You spoke your truth. That took incredible courage. I didn't plan any of this, Tyler admitted. I couldn't leave without trying. That's what courage is, Patricia said. Not the absence of fear, but acting despite it. Tyler called his father, something he almost never did. Daniel answered on the 4th ring, sounding distracted. Dad, I need to tell you something. I'm at that charity event I mentioned, and something amazing is happening. Alan Jackson, the country singer I'm always listening to, he wants me to stay for his concert and meet with him after. I might be home really late. There was a long pause. Alan Jackson? Really? Really? Another pause. Then, Tyler, that's incredible, son. You stay as long as you need to. Be safe. And I'm proud of you. Tyler almost dropped his phone. His father had said he was proud. When was the last time Daniel had said anything like that? Thanks, Dad, Tyler managed. I'll see you later. Next, Tyler called Jamie Rodriguez, who answered immediately. Dude, what's up? Jamie, you're not going to believe this. Tyler explained everything in a rush. The backstage encounter, Alan Jackson's response, the concert tonight. Are you serious right now? Jamie practically shouted. Tyler, that's insane. That's like movie-level stuff. I know. I can't believe it's real. It's real because you made it real, Jamie said firmly. You showed up. You spoke up. You matter, man. I told you. The conversation left Tyler feeling lighter than he had in years. People knew where he was. People cared. He existed in the minds and hearts of others. Tyler went home quickly to retrieve his grandfather's guitar. The house was empty, but it felt different now. Not suffocating, just quiet. He picked up the guitar case, ran his hand over the worn leather and whispered, Grandpa, if you can hear me somehow, This one's for you." Back at the auditorium, the concert was about to begin. Ticket holders filled the venue, a sea of country music fans eager to see a legend perform. Tyler stood in the wings, his guitar case at his feet, watching the stage crew make final preparations. Diane checked on him periodically, making sure he had water, asking if he needed anything. Her earlier professional distance had transformed into genuine warmth. What you said to Alan earlier about needing to remind him that you exist, that's going to stay with him. He doesn't forget moments like that. The lights dimmed, the crowd roared, and Alan Jackson took the stage. Tyler had watched countless Alan Jackson performances on YouTube, but nothing compared to experiencing it live. The energy, the sound, the connection between artist and audience, it was electric. Alan moved through his catalog of hits: Chattahoochee, She's Got the Rhythm, Gone, It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere. Between songs, Alan talked to the audience like they were old friends gathered on someone's porch. He told stories about writing songs, about life on the road, about staying true to himself in an industry that constantly pushed for change. "You know," Alan said during one break, "I met someone special today. A young man who reminded me why I do this. He told me that music made him feel less invisible, less alone. And I thought, if that's what country music can do, if it can reach into someone's life and give them hope, then we're doing something right." The crowd applauded, but Tyler felt like Alan was speaking directly to him across the stage lights and amplifiers. After 90 minutes, Alan played his final song, "Remember When," the same song he'd performed acoustic earlier. But this version was full band, rich and layered, and the audience sang along. Thousands of voices joined in shared memory and emotion. When the last note faded and Alan took his bows, he glanced toward the wings where Tyler stood and gave him a small nod. The post-concert VIP meet and greet took another hour. Tyler waited in a small backstage room, too nervous to sit still. He paced, ran through scales on his guitar, tried to calm the tornado of thoughts in his head. Finally, Diane appeared. "He's ready for you." Tyler followed her to a private room that served as Alan's dressing room. The space was simple: a couch, a table, mirrors, basic hospitality setup. Alan sat on the couch, still in his concert clothes but with his hat off, looking tired but content. "Tyler," he said with a genuine smile, "come on in. You bring your grandfather's guitar?" "Yes, sir." "Let me see it." Tyler opened the case and handed over the instrument. Alan examined it with the care of someone who understood what guitars meant, not as objects, but as vessels of memory and music. "This is a good guitar," Alan said. "Well loved, you can tell." He handed it back. "Play me something, anything you want." Tyler's hands were shaking as he positioned the guitar. He took a breath, closed his eyes, and began to play Drive, one of Alan's songs about a father and son sharing moments in a car. Tyler's voice was uncertain at first, but grew stronger as he lost himself in the music. When he finished, he opened his eyes to find Alan watching him with an unreadable expression. "You've got talent, Tyler," Alan said finally. "Raw, needs development, but it's there. More importantly, you've got something that can't be taught. You feel the music. It's not just notes to you. It's emotion, story, truth." "Thank you," Tyler whispered. "Now let's talk about what happens next," Alan said, leaning forward. "I can't fix everything in your life, Tyler. I'm not a miracle worker. But I can open some doors, and I can make sure people know you exist. Here's what I'm thinking." Alan laid out a plan that seemed impossible. He had connections with music programs in Nashville, teachers who worked with young talent. He would personally fund guitar lessons for Tyler with a session musician he trusted. He would connect Patricia's coalition with additional resources to support Tyler and others like him. And he would stay in touch, check in, make sure Tyler had a path forward. "But here's the thing," Alan said seriously. "I can open doors, but you have to walk through them. You have to do the work, show up, keep playing, keep growing. Nobody can do that for you. You understand?" "I understand," Tyler said, his voice thick with emotion. "I won't let you down." "This isn't about letting me down," Alan corrected gently. "This is about not letting yourself down. You told me you wanted to remind me that you exist. Well, mission accomplished. Now, I'm going to help you remind the whole world that you exist. But you've got to believe it first. You've got to know your own worth." Tyler nodded, overwhelmed. Alan stood and extended his hand. Tyler shook it. And then, unexpectedly, Alan pulled him into a brief hug. "You're going to be okay, Tyler Bennett," Alan said. "More than okay. You're going to be something special. I can see it." As Tyler left the auditorium that night, guitar case in hand, and Alan Jackson's personal phone number saved in his phone. "Call me if you need anything," Alan had said. The Nashville streets seemed different. The city lights were brighter. The cold air felt refreshing rather than harsh. And Tyler walked with his head up, his shoulders back. He existed. Someone saw him. And because of that, everything had changed. The weeks following the charity event unfolded like a new chapter in Tyler's life, literally and metaphorically. The first Monday back at school, Tyler walked through the hallways with a quiet confidence that others noticed, even if they couldn't quite name what had changed. Jamie spotted him at his locker and jogged over. "There's the man of the hour. Everyone's been asking me about you meeting Alan Jackson. You're like famous now." Tyler laughed. "I'm definitely not famous. But yeah, it was incredible." Word had spread through the school, carried by the social media posts Jamie had insisted Tyler make. A single photo of Tyler with Alan Jackson that Diane had taken backstage. Tyler holding his grandfather's guitar, both of them smiling. The post had gotten hundreds of likes. Comments from classmates Tyler had never spoken to, even attention from local Nashville news outlets covering the charity event. But more significant than the brief social media attention was the internal shift in Tyler. He walked differently, spoke up in classes, made eye contact. Invisibility, he realized, had been partly imposed by others, but largely accepted by himself. He had hidden, made himself small, assumed nobody cared. Now, he was choosing to be seen. Mrs. Caldwell pulled him aside after English class. "Tyler, I saw the article about you in the Tennessean. What an amazing experience." "It still doesn't feel real," Tyler admitted. "Sometimes the most important moments in our lives feel that way," she said. "But I want you to remember something. Alan Jackson didn't create your worth. He recognized it. There's a difference. You had value before he noticed you, and you'll have value regardless of what happens next. Don't lose sight of that." Her words struck deep. Tyler nodded slowly. "I'll remember." The first music lesson Alan had arranged took place that Saturday at a studio in East Nashville. Tyler's teacher was a man named Vincent Coleman, a 50-something session guitarist who had played on countless country and rock records. Vincent was patient, demanding, and honest. "You've got decent fundamentals," Vincent said after hearing Tyler play. "Your grandfather taught you well. But if you want to be serious about music, we've got work to do. Theory, technique, performance skills, the whole package." "I want to learn everything," Tyler said eagerly. "Good. Then we'll get along fine." The lessons became the highlight of Tyler's week. Vincent pushed him, corrected him, praised him when earned. Tyler practiced obsessively, his fingers developing calluses, his mind absorbing music theory like a man dying of thirst, discovering water. Daniel noticed the changes in his son. One evening in early March, he knocked on Tyler's bedroom door during a practice session. "Can I listen?" Daniel asked, an unusual vulnerability in his voice. "Sure, Dad." Daniel sat on the edge of Tyler's bed, while Tyler played a new piece Vincent had assigned, a complex fingerstyle arrangement of Shenandoah. When he finished, Daniel was quiet for a long moment. "Your grandfather would be beside himself with pride," Daniel said, his voice rough. "And so am I. Tyler, I know I haven't been the father you needed. I've been so buried in just surviving, just making sure the bills are paid, that I forgot you need more than just a roof and food." "Dad, let me finish," Daniel interrupted gently. "What you did, going to that event, speaking up for yourself, making that connection with Alan Jackson, that took more courage than anything I've ever done. You're braver than me, son, and I'm going to try to do better, to be more present, to actually see you." Tyler felt tears welling up. "I'd like that." It wasn't a magical fix. Daniel still worked long hours, still struggled with emotional expression, still sometimes seemed lost in his own pain. But he started joining Tyler for dinner more often, asked about his music lessons, even came to watch Tyler play at a small open mic night the Youth Services Coalition organized in April. Patricia Henderson had become another anchor in Tyler's life. After Alan Jackson's intervention, the coalition had received a significant donation that allowed them to expand their programs. Patricia hired additional counselors, created a music mentorship program, and established a scholarship fund, naming it the Robert Bennett Memorial Scholarship after Tyler told her about his grandfather. "Your story matters, Tyler," Patricia explained when they announced the scholarship at a coalition event. "Not just to you, but to every kid out there who feels invisible. By being brave enough to speak up, you've helped create something that will support young people for years to come." So, Tyler was invited to speak at the event, his first time addressing a large audience. Standing at the podium, looking out at 100 people, coalition volunteers, donors, community members, and youth who benefited from the programs, Tyler felt his old anxiety threatening to surface. Then he saw familiar faces. Patricia smiling encouragingly, Jamie giving him a thumbs up, Mrs. Caldwell nodding, his father standing in the back with an expression of fierce pride, and Vincent Coleman with his arms crossed, watching critically but supportively. "6 weeks ago, I felt invisible," Tyler began, his voice carrying through the microphone. "I walked through life assuming nobody noticed me, nobody cared, nobody would miss me if I disappeared. I was wrong. People did notice. People did care. I just had to be brave enough to speak up, to remind someone, to remind myself that I exist." He talked about his grandfather, about the power of music, about the coalition's importance, about Alan Jackson's kindness. He talked about how one moment of courage can ripple outward in unexpected ways. "I'm not special," Tyler concluded. "I'm just a kid who got tired of being invisible and decided to do something about it. Every person in this room has that same power. The power to speak up, to reach out, to say, 'I'm here, I matter, I exist.' And when we do that for ourselves, we make it easier for others to do it too." The applause was thunderous. Tyler stepped down from the podium feeling lighter, freer, more himself than he'd ever felt. In May, Alan Jackson called Tyler, something he'd done several times since their initial meeting, always checking in, asking about music progress, offering encouragement. "Tyler, I've got something to run by you," Alan said. "I'm doing a small acoustic show here in Nashville in June. Just a couple hundred people at the Ryman. Real intimate, storytelling kind of night. I'd like you to open for me. Just you and your guitar, 2 or 3 songs. What do you think?" Tyler nearly dropped his phone. You want me to perform at the Ryman Auditorium? If you're ready, Vincent says you've been working hard, says you've got the chops. I think it's time for people to hear what you can do. No pressure. If it's too much, I understand. But the offer's there. Tyler thought about his grandfather, about the journey from invisibility to this moment. I'll do it, he said. I'm ready. The next month was intense preparation. Vincent worked with Tyler on performance skills, how to address an audience, how to handle nerves, how to connect with listeners. Tyler wrote his first original song, a piece called Scene, that told his story in 3 minutes of honest, raw emotion. Jamie and several other friends from school bought tickets to the show. Patricia organized a coalition group to attend. Daniel requested the night off work weeks in advance. Mrs. Caldwell promised to be there. The night of the performance, June 12, 2026, Tyler stood backstage at the Ryman Auditorium, the mother church of country music, where legends like Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, and Johnny Cash had performed. His hands were shaking. His mouth was dry. Every instinct screamed at him to run. Vincent appeared beside him. You know what the difference is between an amateur and a professional? What? Amateurs wait until they're not scared. Professionals perform even when they're terrified. You're about to become a professional. Alan Jackson found Tyler moments before he was supposed to go on. Remember why you're doing this, Alan said simply. Not for fame, not for approval. To tell your truth. To remind people they're not alone. Same reason I've been doing it for 35 years. The stage manager gave Tyler his cue. He walked out into the lights, guitar in hand, and sat on the stool at center stage. 200 faces looked up at him. The historic venue surrounded him with its famous pews and stained glass. Tyler adjusted the microphone and spoke, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Hi, I'm Tyler Bennett. 4 months ago, I was invisible. I felt like I didn't matter, like nobody would notice if I disappeared. Then I did something that scared me. I spoke up. I told someone the truth about my life, about my pain, about how music saved me. That person was Alan Jackson, and he's the reason I'm standing here tonight. Tyler strummed the opening chords of his original song. This is called Scene. It's about learning that you matter, even when the world makes you feel like you don't. He sang, his voice clear and true, carrying the weight of his experience. I walked through crowds but lived alone. Nobody knew my name. I spoke but made no sound. Every day felt the same. Then I found the courage to say what I needed to say. Just 3 words changed everything. I'm here, I'm real, I'm not okay. The chorus swelled with emotion. Tyler's fingers finding each chord with precision, his voice connecting with the audience in a way that transcended technique. Now I'm seen, really seen, not invisible anymore. Now I'm heard. Every word worth fighting for took 1 moment of brave to change everything. Now I'm seen. When the song ended, the applause was immediate and sustained. Tyler blinked back tears, overwhelmed. He performed 2 more songs, a cover of Remember When, as a tribute to Alan Jackson and his grandfather, and another original piece about his father called Working Man's Son. As Tyler left the stage, Alan Jackson passed him going on. Alan paused, placed a hand on Tyler's shoulder, and said simply, "You did good, son." The rest of the evening was a blur. After Alan's performance, Tyler was surrounded by people, friends, coalition members, strangers who wanted to tell him his songs moved them, local music industry people asking for his contact information. His father embraced him tightly, saying nothing but communicating everything. Mrs. Caldwell gave him a card with a quote written inside. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Marianne Williamson. In the following weeks, Tyler's life continued to evolve. A local Nashville news station did a feature story on him. From invisible to unforgettable, one teen's journey. He was invited to perform at other coalition events, at school assemblies, at small venues around Nashville. He was still just a kid, still had homework and chores and teenage struggles. But he was no longer invisible. More importantly, Tyler had learned something fundamental. His worth didn't depend on external validation. Alan Jackson's recognition had opened doors, but Tyler's own courage had walked him through them. Being seen started with seeing himself. One evening in late June, Tyler sat on his front porch with his father, both of them holding glasses of sweet tea, watching the sunset paint the Nashville sky in shades of orange and purple. "You know what I've been thinking about?" Daniel said. "Your mother." Tyler tensed. They rarely spoke about her. "I spent so many years angry at her for leaving," Daniel continued. "Angry at myself for not being enough to make her stay. That anger made me close off. Made me forget that you were still here, still needing a parent. I'm sorry for that, Tyler. I'm sorry I let my pain make me blind to yours." "We're doing better now," Tyler said. "That's what matters." "We are," Daniel agreed, "because you had the courage to change things. You showed me it's possible to be brave, to be vulnerable, to ask for what you need. You taught me that, son. 14 years old, and you taught your old man something important." They sat in comfortable silence as darkness fell and the first stars appeared. Tyler thought about the journey from February to now. From that desperate moment backstage when he'd said, "I just wanted to remind you that I exist," to this peaceful evening with his father, to the scholarship bearing his grandfather's name, to the music pouring out of him, to the connections he'd made, to the life he was building. He thought about the other kids at the coalition, the ones still struggling, still feeling invisible. Tyler had started mentoring younger teenagers through the music program, passing on what Vincent taught him, but more importantly, passing on the lesson he'd learned. You have to speak up. You have to remind people you exist. And most crucially, you have to remind yourself. Inside the house, Tyler's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Alan Jackson. "Saw the news feature on you. Proud of you, Tyler. Keep going. Keep playing. Keep being brave. The world needs your voice." Tyler smiled and typed back, "Thank you for seeing me, for reminding me that I matter. I won't forget." Alan's response came quickly. "You reminded me first, son. That's the truth of it. You reminded me why any of this matters. So thank you, right back." Tyler set down his phone and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, his grandfather was watching, he liked to believe. And if Robert Bennett could see him now, Tyler knew he'd be proud. Not just of the music or the performances or the recognition, but of the courage it took to step out of the shadows and claim his place in the world. "Dad," Tyler said, breaking the silence, "want to hear the new song I've been working on?" "I'd love to," Daniel said, and he meant it. Tyler went inside and returned with his grandfather's guitar. Sitting on the porch under the stars, with his father listening attentively, Tyler played. The music drifted through the Nashville night, a testament to survival, to courage, to the transformative power of being truly seen. He was Tyler Bennett. He was 14 years old. He existed. He mattered. And now, finally, he believed it.